It always feels good when you are appreciated. SLT non-stop broadband. Free loyalty data added as you stay connected.
ලෙන්ගතුකම වැඩි කරගන්න ලව්ජු රුපියල් 50ට අඩු කළා.
මාමේ එන්න අපිට එකක් බොමු.
Tonight, COVID-19 concerns. Sri Lanka's embassy in South Korea gives assurance of a Sri Lankan community as COVID-19 fears intensify.
This government has not declared any emergency situation, so there are no plans to sending back Sri Lankans or any other nationals.
Italy, meanwhile, is also becoming a concern. Election talk. Sajith Premadasa takes aim at the government, accusing it of inefficiency.
What were you doing for the past 13 weeks without introducing a budget?
Also extends an olive branch to the SLFP.
I would like to urge members of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party and all other democratic forces to join up with the Samagi Janabalavega.
Learning from the best. Zambia seeks military expertise from Sri Lankan armed forces.
Zambian Army Chief requested to assist their Army, Navy and Air Force, especially with the diving courses and for Air Force certain courses.
Riddled with conjecture. Malaysian Prime Minister Mahathir Mohamad hands in resignation. All that and much more coming up on First at 9, this Monday the 24th of February 2020.
මේ 69යි 97ට SMS කර රුපියල් මිලියන 3ක මුල්තැන්ගේ උපකරණ දිනාගෙන අවුරුද්දෙම කුස්සිය ටයිම් සේව් කරගන්න.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Dhammik Eknagar. Let's start with your local stories. Now, the COVID-19 outbreak is threatening to get a deeper hold, with the global health authorities saying that the virus has spread to at least 29 countries. For Sri Lanka, the focus shifts to South Korea and Italy, two countries with considerable Sri Lankan expat populations. Now, both nations have reported a marked surge in the number of virus infections recently, and the Ministry of Foreign Relations assures that Sri Lankan missions there are in constant communication with the Sri Lankan communities and that no Sri Lankans have contracted the virus.
South Korea has jumped into second spot behind mainland China in terms of number of confirmed COVID-19 cases. The city of Dagu is the most affected, and out of approximately 20,000 Sri Lankans living in South Korea, around 915 live there. With the global attention falling on the Korean peninsula, the first secretary of the political section at the Sri Lankan embassy in South Korea, Sasanga Nikapitiya, told First at 9 that it is in contact with the Sri Lankan community there, and as of yet, there are no reported COVID-19 infections among them.
The Korean government is saying that it's manageable and they are controlling it. So in Daegu, there are more than 900 people. Our embassy is in very close contact with them. Actually, we are getting many calls and we are responding them, and they are a little bit scared, but this government has not declared any emergency situation. So there are no plans to sending back Sri Lankans or any other nationals, because there are 16 countries who are sending employees under employment contract system. So for now, just we are observing the situation and assisting our Sri Lankan people. But there are people who are willing to go back to Sri Lanka and they are leaving. No cases have been reported yet. Sri Lankans all are in good condition.
At 6:10 p.m. Sri Lankan time, the number of deaths in South Korea stood at 8, along with 833 confirmed infections. It surpasses the total of infections of COVID-19 on board the quarantine cruise ship in Japan, Diamond Princess. In the meantime, the global death toll from the novel coronavirus has increased up to 2,593, with 77,345 infections reported across the world. Italy, meanwhile, remains the worst affected country in Europe, with 5 deaths and 224 COVID-19 infections. The third victim, an elderly woman suffering from cancer in the town of Cremona, east of Milan, perished along with 2 other elderly patients in northern Italy over the past 48 hours. In addition to suspending sporting events in view of the virus outbreak, the Veneto authorities have also called off the Venice Carnival. Just as South Korea, Italy too has a heavy Sri Lankan presence. In view of that, the Ministry of Foreign Relations said that action in coordination with the Sri Lanka Embassy in Rome and the Consulate General Office in Milan to closely monitor and coordinate efforts to ensure the safety of Sri Lankans residing in Italy following the recent rise of COVID-19 cases, particularly in the Lombardy region. Releasing a statement, the ministry also said that presently no Sri Lankans have fallen victim to the virus. It was further stated that over 104,000 Sri Lankans reside in Italy, of which approximately 60% are in the Lombardy region. The Sri Lankan Embassy in Rome and the Sri Lanka Consulate General Office in Milan also communicating with the health authorities in these regions and are in contact with Sri Lankan temples. Sri Lankans visiting Italy, northern Italy in particular, are requested to be vigilant and take all necessary precautions issued by the local authorities for the containment of the virus. Hotlines operated by the embassy and consulate are currently functional on a round-the-clock basis, and a help desk is also operational in order to respond to the needs of the Sri Lankan community. Meanwhile, in Iran, the COVID-19 death toll climbed to 12, with 64 overall infections. The schools have been closed in the Iran capital Tehran and some other cities until tomorrow. Turkey and Armenia have also closed their borders with Iran, suspending air and road travel to and from the country. Pakistan yesterday closed its Taftan border with Iran, stopping movement of people as reports of the outbreak of coronavirus in Iran spread. A large number of pilgrims visit Iran from Pakistan via the Taftan border, crossing on a daily basis.
The Matara to Baravakumbura section of the newly constructed, or open I should say, Matara Hambantota extension of the Southern Expressway will be open for traffic from this midnight. Now, speaking at the opening ceremony of the new addition yesterday, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa accused the former government of abandoning mega development projects in the country out of spite against the Rajapaksas.
The section of the Southern Expressway stretching from Matara to Hambantota was vested with the public yesterday. The opening ceremony was presided over by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa.
මට මතකයි 2005 මාග්‍රාමත්‍යවරයා වශයෙන් එදා චන්ද්‍රිකා කුමාරතුංග මැතිණියගේ ආණ්ඩුවේ ඉදිද්දි මම එදා මහාමාර්ග ඇමති හැටියට වාඩි බාරගත්තේ මේ රටේ ඒ කෙළවරේ ඉඳන් මේ කෙළවරට නිදහසේ පාරේ යන්න බැරිද අතක මට මතකයි ජනාධිපතිතුමනි මන්නාරමේ මඩු දේවස්ථානයට යන පාර අලුතින් හදා දෙන්න කියලා මගෙන් ඉල්ලීමක් කරා මම අඩි 40ක් විතර පළලට මං හිතන්නේ තාම හොඳ තත්ත්වේ පාරක් මඩු දේවස්ථානයට යන්න හදලා දුන්නා මන්නාරමේ බිෂොප්තුමා මම ඇවිල්ලා මට කිව්වා මේක විවෘත කරන්න දෙන්න කියලා එතකොට මේ රටේ සටන් විරාම ගිවිසුමක් මේ රටේ ක්‍රියාත්මක වුණා අගමැති වුණත් කොටින්ට අවසර ගෙනන්නේ නැතුව නම් යන්න හම්බ වෙන්නේ නැහැ ඒක ඔබතුමා පොඩි ලියුමක් අස්සම් කරලා දෙන්න කියලා මගෙන් ඉල්ලීමක් කරා මම කිව්වා LTT එකෙන් මම අවසර ගන්නෙ නැහැ හැබැයි මම එහෙම අවසර නොගෙන මට ඕන දවසට එන්න පාරේ මම දිනයක් වැඩි කාලයක් යන්න ඉස්සෙල්ලා කරලා දෙන්නම් කියලා ඇවිල්ලා විවෘත කරලා මේ පළාත් නැගිටිනවා අකමැති දේශපාලනයෝ මේ රටේ ඉන්නවා. යහපාලන ආණ්ඩුව බලයට ආව ගමන් මත්තල ගුවන් තොටුපොළ වී ගබඩාවක් කළේ නිකන් නොවේ. අද වෙනකොට ඒ ගුවන් තොටුපොළ වටිනාකම ලෝකයට දැනিলা තියෙනවා. කොරෝනා රෝගීන් ආවමත් ඒ අය නිරෝධනය කරන්න පාසුකම් ඇතුව රට ඇතුළට ගත්තේ මත්තල හරහා. සූර්යවැව හදපු ජාත්‍යන්තර ක්‍රීඩා භූමිය. අවුරුදු 4මාරක් අවුරුදු 5ක් එක මැච් එකක් ගැහුවේ නැහැ. ඕන කමින් මේක තිබිච්ච පුටු ටික අරගෙන ගිහිල්ලා කොළඹ හයි කරා. මොකද්ද මේ දකුණත් එක තියෙන වෛරය?
In the meantime, Matara to Baravakumbuka section of the Matara Hambantota stretch of the expressway will be open for traffic from midnight today.
Now, Commander of the Zambian Army, Lieutenant General W.M. Zigazwe and his delegation, who are in Sri Lanka on a 5-day goodwill visit, called on his Sri Lankan counterpart, Lieutenant General Shavindra Silva. Now, during the talks, the visiting commander had requested assistance in several sectors from Sri Lanka's military, saying that there is a lot to be learned from the island nation's armed forces.
Commander of the Zambian Army, Lieutenant General W.M. Zigazwe, met with Commander of Sri Lanka Army, Lieutenant General Shavindra Silva, at the Army headquarters during his visit to Sri Lanka. The two commanders agreed to have entered into a memorandum of understanding between the two nations in a bid to further strengthen ties.
Sri Lanka is a very friendly nation in the international community. The Zambian Army Commander, during this stay, he is visiting certain training establishments and various other places. As you know that already we have 6 cadets and officers training in Sri Lankan military establishments. The commander is very pleased for all the opportunities that the Sri Lankan armed forces as a whole has given to Zambian Army and Zambia. I explained the facilities that we have, and Zambian Army Chief actually requested that they would like to have a directing staff, instructor, in other words, to Zambia Defence College in the future. So with the consultation with the Secretary of Defence and Commander-in-Chief, the President, their approval, they have the opportunity of sending that. And Zambian Army Chief requested to assist their Army, Navy and Air Force, especially with the diving courses and for Air Force certain courses he was asking, which I will consult the Air Force Commander and the Navy Commander. Thereafter, with the approval of the Ministry of Defence, we are more than happy to offer these things.
We can learn a lot from our colleagues here. It's a senior army. They have done a lot of operations, especially for counter-insurgency operations and terrorism. So we can learn a lot. And we are in the process of refining the MOU. Once that MOU becomes effective, then we have that exchange of staff, exchange of directing staff, and several other things to come. So I'm happy that the General invited me. Now we shall cement our relationship even further so it becomes strong. And I'm inviting him also to come visit Zambia. I know he's going to accept.
Now moving on with other local stories, Leader of the Opposition Sajith Premadasa says the government is lacking leadership and financial management skills to guide the debt-ridden Sri Lankan economy. Speaking at a media briefing held at the Parliamentary Complex today, the opposition leader Premadasa criticised the present government's inability to introduce a cohesive budget.
The government has totally and utterly failed to transform and translate and put into action the declarations, pronouncements and proclamations that they provided the Sri Lankan people. What were you doing for the past 13 weeks without introducing a budget consisting of proposals and promises that were encapsulated in your political manifesto, presidential manifesto? The first action that this government took was not to introduce a budget, but to prorogue Parliament. And even after convening of Parliament up to this day, the government has failed to propose a cohesive budget. Please observe the way the government that came into being after the 2015 presidential elections. Within 3 weeks, we put forth a budget, even without a parliamentary majority. And we managed to fulfill the promises that we gave to the people, the famously known 100-day promises. What we have today is a government strangled by debt, squeezed by inefficiency, lacking leadership and the financial management skills to guide the Sri Lankan economy.
The opposition leader also requests members of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party and all other democratic forces to join up with the newly formed alliance, Samagi Jana Balawegaya.
While requesting for postponement of loan repayments from India, it is also stated that if India does so, China will also follow suit. Now, having made this request from the Indian Prime Minister, we have the hypocritical situation whereby the present government requesting for a 212 billion rupee additional loan enhancement and an increase of the loan ceiling. We as a government will not object to progressive, positive and pro-Sri Lanka policies. We will not engage in petty party political prejudices. I would like to urge members of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party and all other democratic forces to join up with the Samagi Jana Balawegaya in order to create a unique political culture that would harness all resources, mobilize all talents and capabilities to promote and achieve prosperity for our motherland and for our people.
Now, JVP parliamentarian Nalinda Jayasisa says that they do not want to have anything to do with the Sri Lanka Muslim Congress, while refuting claims made by its leader Rauf Hakim yesterday that they held talks on forming a coalition along with the Tamil National Alliance as well as the JVP. In the meantime, JVP also released a statement insisting that they never held such talks either with the SLMC or the Tamil National Alliance.
JVP today released a statement to clarify what was mentioned by leader of the Sri Lanka Muslim Congress Rauf Hakim, saying that there were no discussions held with regard to a coalition with them and the TNA. The party added that they will be only contesting under the banner of National People's Power.
මම දන්න ඉතිහාසයේ ඉඳලා රවුෆ් හකීම් මැතිවරයා හැමදාම ආණ්ඩුවක හිටියා. UNP ආණ්ඩුව වෙන කාලේ ඔහු UNP ආණ්ඩුවේ මැතිවරයෙක්, ශ්‍රී ලංකා ආණ්ඩුව වෙන කාලේ ශ්‍රී ලංකා ආණ්ඩුවේ මැතිවරයෙක්. හැබැයි කොයි ආණ්ඩුවේ ඇමතිකම් දැරුවත් රවුෆ් හකීම්ට මුස්ලිම් ජනතාව වෙනුවෙන් මොකද්ද කරන්න පුළුවන් වුනේ? අඩුගාන රවුෆ් හකීම් මැතිවරයාට බැරි වුණා තමන්ට ඡන්ද දෙන ජනතාවගේ ජීවිත ආරක්ෂා කරගන්නට. එහෙම රවුෆ් හකීම් දැන් එල්ලෙන්න වැලේ වැල් නැති වෙනකොට මේ අපිවත් සම්බන්ධ කරගෙන වෙන කටකතාවක් ගොතන්නයි යන්නේ. මුස්ලිම් පක්ෂයක නායකයෙක් හැටියට කියලා මුස්ලිම් ජනතාව ආමන්ත්‍රණය ගන්න බැරි වෙනකොට දැන් කියන්න හදනවා රයිට් JVP එකත් එක්ක අපි කතා කරලා එකමුතු භාවකින් තමයි එන්න හදන්නේ කියලා. නෑ අපට එතුමන්ලත් එක්ක එහෙමයි හොඳයි පවත්වන්න ඕමනාවක් නෑ.
Meanwhile, leader of Muslim Congress Rauf Hakim held a media briefing in Kandy today to further clarify his comments from yesterday.
ඒකෙන් මං කිසි විටක අදහස් කළේ නෑ අපි මැතිවරණයක් සඳහා වූ සන්දානයකට ලැහැස්ති වෙනවයි කියන අදහසක් ඇතුව මම ඒ කියමන කිව නැති බව මම පැහැදිලිව කියා සිටිය යුතුයි. අපි අවම න්‍යාය පත්‍රයක් උඩ එකතු වීමේ ප්‍රවණතාවයක් පිළිබඳවයි මම කතා කළේ. ඒ පිළිබඳව పూర్ව සාකච්ඡා කීපයක් අපි නායකවරුන් අතරේ සිදු වෙලා තිබුණත් අපි තාම නිගමනයකට එළඹිලා නැති බවත් මම කියා සිටිය යුතුයි. මම අද උදේ අනුර කුමාර දිසානායක මැතිතුමත් සමගත් සාකච්ඡා කළා. එතුමාත් දන්නා කාරණයක් අපි මේ පිළිබඳව අවම න්‍යාය පත්‍රයක් උඩ අපට වෙනම සිවිල් සංවිධාන සමග එකතු වෙලා පුළුල් වේදිකාවක් සෑදීමේ ප්‍රවණතාවයක් පිළිබඳව අපි යම් යම් සාකච්ඡා කළත් ඒ පිළිබඳව තාම අපි අන්තිම නිගමනයකට පැමිණෙන්නේ නැහැ.
We will be back with more local stories. Bear with us. Welcome back. You're watching First at 9. Now, driver of former Minister Partly Derana, who surrendered before police following a near-fatal hit-and-run case in 2016, has now revealed that he did not drive the vehicle at the time of the incident in question. Making submissions before court today, Deputy Solicitor General Dilip Apiris said that during a confidential statement made by the suspect at the official chamber of the Colombo Additional Magistrate, he had revealed that he surrendered to the Borella police upon instructions from another.
The case pertaining to former Minister Partali Champika Ranawaka's near-fatal hit-and-run in 2016 was called before the Colombo Magistrates Court today. On Saturday, the 22nd, second suspect in the case, Dilum Tusitha Kumara, who surrendered as the driver of the vehicle involved in the incident in question, gave a confidential statement at the official chamber of the Colombo Additional Magistrate. Revealing that statement in court today, Deputy Solicitor General Dilip Apiris, representing the Colombo Crime Division, said that Tusitha Kumara had denied driving the vehicle at the time of the collision. He informed court that Tusitha Kumara had been handed over the vehicle involved in the collision and asked to surrender before the Borella police by another driver of former Minister Partali Champika, identified as Alvis. Deputy Solicitor General Dilip Apiris made the court aware that Tusitha Kumara was instructed to surrender to police without any fear on the promise that he would be released soon. He went on to note that the suspect appeared to have enjoyed some relief from the police as he was promised, while informing that the Attorney General's department is currently studying the verdict given by the Colombo Traffic Court. Furthermore, the Deputy Solicitor General stated that when Tusitha Kumara was summoned to the Colombo Crime Division to record a statement pertaining to the investigation, he was given cover at the Battaramulla residence of MP Partali Champika Ranawaka. President's Counsel Anuja Premaratna, appearing on behalf of MP Partali Champika Ranawaka, requested court to grant permission for his client to travel to Australia for a period of 2 weeks. Referring to the request, Deputy Solicitor General Dilip Apiris pointed out that there is a need to peruse through the documents pertaining to the request made before informing the stance of the prosecution. Accordingly, the court stated that verdict regarding the request made by the former minister will be delivered on the 4th of March.
Now, 5 persons were killed in a collision along the Kandy-Jaffna highway in Ormanthe yesterday. An SLTB bus had collided with a jeep, resulting in the fatalities while also injuring 25 others. 4 persons were pronounced dead upon admission to the Vaunia hospital. The driver of the jeep, however, was reportedly alive and was stuck inside the vehicle, and during the rescue operations the bus and the jeep had burst into flames which claimed his life. 4 men and a woman were among the deceased, and they are identified as residents of Vällavatta. Members of the Sri Lanka Core Military Police of the Army have now been deployed in most congested entry and exit points in the Greater Colombo area to help ease the city traffic congestion in collaboration with Colombo City Traffic Division. The project, implemented on the guidelines given by Acting Chief of Defence Staff and Commander of the Army, Lieutenant General Shavindra Silva, following a conceptual notion suggested by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, was launched this morning and is expected to minimise wastage of valuable man-hours on roads and help increase the national productivity through punctuality. The deployment of military police personnel covering most congested points across the city limits is expected to closely liaise with city traffic policemen during peak hours between 6 to 10 a.m. and 4 to 7 p.m. on all 7 days of the week. In addition, SLC MP mobile cars and 5 motorbikes would continue to monitor congestion, coordinate communication and keep surveillance during those peak hours, with the objective of altering the public, or more like alerting the public and encouraging them to use alternative roads if necessary. Now then, global stock markets have sunk as investors worry about the potential impact of the coronavirus outbreak. The UK's FTSE 100 share index fell more than 3%, while in Italy, which has seen Europe's worst outbreak of the virus, Milan's stock market plunged 4.5%. Meanwhile, shares in airlines and travel firms have seen some of the biggest falls. In contrast, the price of gold hit its highest level in 7 years as investors sought a safer place for their money. Gold prices climbed more than 2% today to about $1,680 an ounce, which is a level that has not been seen since February in 2013. Sri Lankan markets, meanwhile, settled lower today, pulled down by consumer staples and industrial stocks. The all-share price index closed at 0.57% lower at 5,797.30, and the index has lost 5.4% so far this year. Equity market turnover was 424.2 million rupees. Now here's a brief report on today's market performance.
The secondary market witnessed a mixed activity. The yield curve shifted slightly downward on the belly-ended curve, while the overall market witnessed moderate volume, with the central bank postponing the T-bill auction scheduled tentative for 27 February 2020. And stock market started the week with the red, continuing the negative sentiment prevailing in the last trading day of the week. And during the day, the market main index dragged down by the price losses in John Keel's, Ceylon Tobacco and Ceylon Coal Stores, while crossings took place pertaining in Ceylon Hospitals, Haley's and John Keel's constitute 27% of the daily turnover.
In the meantime, Sri Lankan rupee closed week at 181 rupees and 70 to 85 cents against the US dollar in the spot market today, while bond yields eased. The rupee, however, ended at 181 rupees and 55 to 60 cents to the greenback on Thursday. Now let's take a look at how the Sri Lankan rupee traded against other major currencies during the day. It was a big day today for the Asian region, with the Malaysian PM Mahathir Mohamad giving his resignation, while US President visiting India. Details after the break. Welcome back. You're watching First at 9. Now, Malaysian Prime Minister Mahathir Mohamad has submitted a letter of resignation to the country's king yesterday, leaving the government in limbo amid talk of forming a new governing coalition. The fate of Malaysia's ruling coalition had been in doubt after weekend talks between some of its members and opposition groups on forming a new government that would exclude Mahathir's anointed successor, Anwar Ibrahim. The pair had joined forces to win the 2018 election and oust the long-running United Malay National Organisation in an alliance based on promise that Mahathir would cede power to Anwar. The tussle between Mahathir, who is the world's oldest prime minister, and Anwar has shaped Malaysian politics for decades, and tension has persisted. It was also not immediately clear what the king's next step would be and whether Mahathir could form another government with the support of other parties, including UMNO. Yesterday, Anwar accused Mahathir's party while criticising some of his own party members of PKR as traitors of plotting to form a new government with UMNO. Mahathir Mohamad assumed office in May 2018 for his second stint as Prime Minister. Now, US President Donald Trump arrived in India for his first official visit to the world's largest democracy, kicking off a 36-hour tour with a mega rally at the world's largest cricket stadium that drew around 100,000 people and a visit to India's iconic Taj Mahal. The visiting head of state vowed to boost trade ties between the United States and India and said that the United States was prepared to supply India with defense equipment ranging from drones to helicopters and missile systems.
As we continue to build our defense cooperation, the United States looks forward to providing India with some of the best and most feared military equipment on the planet. We make the greatest weapons ever made: airplanes, missiles, rockets, ships, and we're dealing now with India. But this includes advanced air defense systems and armed and unarmed aerial vehicles. The United States and India are also firmly united in our ironclad resolve to defend our citizens from the threat of radical Islamic terrorism.
During his visit, President Donald Trump found it quite difficult to pronounce certain names of places, and the iconic names, including India's most famous sportsperson, Sachin Tendulkar, while addressing a welcome gathering convened at the Ahmedabad Cricket Stadium.
Namaste. 5 months ago, the United States welcomed your great Prime Minister at a giant football stadium in Texas. And today, India welcomes us at the world's largest cricket stadium right here in Ahmedabad. As the great religious teacher, Swami Vivekananda once said, "The moment I stand in reverence before every human being and see God in him, that moment I am free." This is the country where your people cheer on some of the world's greatest cricket players, from Sachin Tendulkar to Virat Kohli.
Now, the Commanders Cup golf tournament hosted by the Sri Lanka Air Force and the Eagles Golf Links concluded over the weekend. The event was participated by 102 enthusiastic golfers. Suren Premthilaka won the Commanders Cup 2020, securing the highest marks in the gents division of 40 points, while Nilu Jayathilaka won the ladies trophy with a total score of 36 points. The Eagles Challenge Trophy, presented to members of the Tri-Forces, was won by Lieutenant Commander H.M. Udavatta.
Okay, that has been going on since a couple of years ago. Commanders Cup winner, 2020. Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
And that's it from all of us here at First at 9. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.